Hi there, it's Donna from Heart of the Matter Professional Organizing, and I'm happy to be with you here as Mama Bear in the kitchen today. This is number 2 in a series that I'm doing as we work our way around the kitchen, and I'm excited because it's the first time I've been able to wear my new Mama Bear apron, and I'm not sure if you can see because of the glare of the lights, but Donna, Heart of the Matter's Mama Bear. And this was a birthday gift that Rhonda gave me this year, and it's really great because I really enjoyed kind of stepping into this identity as Mama Bear. I guess I've been that to my kids for a long time, but only in the last year or so did they start calling me that, and in turn I kind of transferred it over into some of our Heart of the Matter videos and blogs as well. So I appreciate the opportunity to wear this. So now I've got a collection of 2. So I've got my nice black one that was originally the gift, was my original one, the gift from the kids, and that's the one I wear for real cooking because, you know, it doesn't show the spatters and the spills and that sort of thing. And this will be my video shooting apron. So that's fun to have today. But one of the things that I realized as I started shooting this video today is the fact that, yeah, I do have a tiny kitchen, and my video camera is as far back as I can get it from where I'm working today. So there will be a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom that you really won't be able to see. I'll try to be as descriptive as I can and use your imagination with me. But as I'm shooting along this side of my kitchen, it's back as far to the wall as it can go. And when I tried the doorway, that didn't work quite right either. Our original one, which I'm going to link to in this blog as well, was over to my right here, which is kind of the fridge and the sink zone. If you've listened in on Rhonda and I over the years, you know that we like to talk about organizing our kitchen and lots of our spaces in zones. It's kind of like the kindergarten model. What works in kindergarten rooms works when we transfer it into our homes as well. And so I don't want to go into too much detail on that today, but the idea behind it is that you put everything that you need to accomplish one task together in one zone. So obviously there's things in the kitchen that don't necessarily go in a particular zone, or there's not too much else like it, but there are lots of things that do fit into zones. So we're going to chat about a few of those today. But one of the zones that most everyone has in their kitchen, especially if you drink tea and coffee, is that you've got a beverage zone. Or if you don't have a beverage zone already, you might like to think about it. So the idea behind it is that everything you need to accomplish a certain task is all together in one place. So first, just before we jump in, I want to kind of give you perspective here in my kitchen. So as you're seeing this cupboard door here, probably to you on video, it just looks like a solid white cupboard door. But when we first moved into this house, so there's 2 of these cupboards. I'm not sure if you can see the one in the angle that's on, but we'll see it next time. 2 on either side of the stove that were clear glass fronts in them when we moved in. And my first thought was, oh wow, I have limited cupboard space as it is in this kitchen. I don't want what I'm storing in these cupboards to be on open display. I have nothing against a glass front cupboard if you have a nice big kitchen and it can be over at the side and it can display a nice simple arrangement of pretty things, then that's lovely. But I didn't want that in the main prime real estate of my kitchen. So knowing that this was an IKEA kitchen, because this had all been done before we moved in, what my thought was, okay, great, I know the measurement of this cupboard. I will go to IKEA and buy the solid matching doors that would match the rest of the kitchen. So anyway, that was the plan. But what I decided to do when we moved in, I had been doing a whole lot of chalk painting. I had been painting a lot of furniture items with chalk paint, and that advertises itself as you can paint it on anything. So you know what I decided to do was I decided to paint the inside of that glass panel with chalk paint and put the protected coating on it. And when you see it behind the glass, it looks fabulous. And it saved me the cost of new cupboard doors. Especially it was great because I already had white chalk paint on hand. Obviously, if you don't have that and you're thinking that you would like to do something like this in your own home, you would have the purchase cost of that. But if you've got wood grain cupboards and you've had that glass front cupboard and you thought to yourself, you know what, I don't really like that, or it's dated or something like that, you know what, you can give it a new look with some chalk paint. We're over 4 years now. This cupboard gets used every day because it's a small kitchen. We are into this and there's no sign of it breaking down or anything. And because it's behind the glass, then it's certainly fully wipeable on this side. So that's a little aside, but something that I did. So what I do in my kitchen, I don't like a lot of things out on the cupboards because I feel like a long run of surface, well, first of all, it gives you good workspace when you're cooking and preparing, but also because my front door is right here and everyone who comes in sees what I've got out, lots of times they're going to catch me with stuff on the counters, and that's okay. That's real life. When we're cooking, we're preparing food. But generally, the long run of clear counter space does make the space look less cluttered and, of course, larger to the eye. So that's what I choose. But Marie and I do drink tea and coffee, and so we would use this every day. So I do leave my coffee maker out and my tea kettle out. But maybe not everyone needs to do that. So just jumping right in. So this is what I would call my beverage zone. So what I've got on the bottom shelf here is the coffee. I've got a scoop right in it, so I don't have to go looking for that, or I don't have to reach down into my measuring spoon drawer. We've got 2 jars the same. They're squared. That way they're taking up less space. I've got a basket here that's just the right size for my coffee filters. Just happen to have that basket, so that's great because it keeps those right handy to where we are needing them. And then this is the tea container. Some of you might recognize this, that you've had it around your house for ages and ages. It was a Red Rose tea container that they gave for a special promotion years and years ago. But because of its shape, it fits great in here. And this is just some extra coffee that I've got sitting here. So another thing I will add here is when we moved in, again, because I knew these were IKEA cupboards, what I decided to do was go and get some extra shelves to put in here. So I have maxed out every inch. So I've got the bottom shelf 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves in here, which a standard cupboard wouldn't come that way. But we're big fans of adding in extra shelves when you can and using every inch of space that you've got. So as I said, again, I've got my coffee prep stuff. I've got some instant coffee in the back that I use occasionally. So it's not in the prime real estate at the front, but it's tucked to the back. Next shelf here are our everyday mugs, the ones that we use all the time. We get into a lot of houses that have a lot of mugs. And I get it, as a coffee and tea drinker, there are certain times when, you just want a certain mug, and it does matter to you. Not every mug is created equal, and I get that. Different moods, different days, different mugs that you want. So that's all right. It's okay to have a selection of mugs, but what I suggest you to do, advise you to do, see, even there, one of mine gravitated up into the other area. Set yourself a boundary. For us, this is, I don't know, 3, 6, 9, 10 to 12 mugs probably in here. And this is the mixture of mugs, things that are souvenirs, things that are favorite mugs. Our Mama Bear and our Papa Bear mugs are in here, the ones that we love to use regularly. But then use that as a boundary. And I find myself being challenged with that as well, because you get mugs as gifts, or you go somewhere and you see a great mug that has a saying on it and you like it. Or I like pottery mugs, so those are the ones that are kind of a weakness for me. But if that's my boundary and that's how many fit, then that's the space that you've got. So I really encourage you with that. Decide in your kitchen, how much space am I going to allow to mugs realistically, and then stick with it. So it's 1 mug in, 1 mug out. If you get a new one, you get rid of an old one. Now, some of you, I'm sure, are already ahead of me and looking up in here, all these shelves above, and you think, Donna, you got mugs up there too. Okay, but what I've done is I have got this great set of mugs that I call my company mugs. They're a smaller size. Marie and I usually like a bit bigger mugs, so that's why these wouldn't be the ones that we would choose every day. But they match my house, they match my decor, and I have 8 of them. So usually I'm not serving coffee or tea to more than 8 people at one time. If I am, well then either I'm going to gravitate down into some of these, or maybe I'm going to use some kind of disposable cups if I've got a big party going on. But what I've done is I've put those up there because this I would call prime real estate. That's a little bit out of reach, a little bit harder to get at. So I'm going to tuck the things up there that I don't use regularly. So I've got my cream and sugar here as well. And also what I've done is I've put together a little basket with a variety of teas in it. This way when I have company, I can take the little basket to the table, have people pick what they want. And so it's got some green tea, some herbal teas, that sort of thing in, if they don't want regular black tea, which I have here. Murray's a big tea drinker, so this one's in prime real estate because he's using this every day. So then maybe you can tell too from where you are that I don't have all my variety of tea boxes here. We work in a lot of homes where there's a lot of boxes of herbal teas and varieties of tea. 2 points on this. First of all, if you drink that variety, then great, have them. But there are a lot of people who have collected a lot of tea over the years, and it's just accumulated, and you hardly use any of the variety. So maybe it's time for you to weed through and get rid of some of those things. Pass them on to a friend. Next person through the door of your house, ask them if they'd like some of those teas and pass them on. Or if they've been there long enough, then just throw them in the compost or the green bin and get rid of them. Weed your thing down. Or weed your quantities down, sorry. So what I do though, I have a spot to store mine that again is out of prime real estate. And I want to point this out because maybe some others of you will benefit from this as well. In my kitchen, I've got a corner. And I think you can see it on the edge of your screen here. I've got a really nice tray. It's a nice heavy duty tray with handles. And I use it quite a bit, but it matches the decor of the house. And what I do is I set it across the corner. And so behind here, I've got, I think I shared with you one time, I love this, it matches my house, but it was also a gift that my mom and dad got as a wedding present. So that's a special one when I look at that. But what I do here is I've got my teapot and my various boxes of tea tucked in behind. So they're out of sight, and I can restock my basket when I need it, or I can go there for my teapot that I use regularly, and easy to get. So if you've got a kitchen with a corner like that, I'd consider thinking about maybe you could do some camouflaging like that as well. Maybe for you it won't be tea behind there, but it could be any number of things that you might store behind there so that you've got them out of sight and off your counter. Okay, so moving along here. My upper two shelves, maybe you can tell, I don't know, hopefully you can see again, I got as wide an angle as I can get here, but I've got my Christmas mugs and my Christmas glasses up top. So in order to get these things, for the most part, I need to use my two-step ladder, which I've got in my front hall closet, so I can get it easy enough, but I only have to climb up there a couple of times a year. So in November, when I put my Christmas things out, I climb up there, take my mugs and glasses down, I put my Christmas mugs in place here, put my everyday mugs up top, my Christmas glasses, I've got a spot over here where I've got my regularly used glasses. I tuck them up there for November and December, and I bring my Christmas ones over. So if you have a spot in your kitchen up out of prime real estate that you can do that, I love it because you're working smarter, not harder. For a lot of years, I put my Christmas glasses and mugs, that was the cuckoo clock. You'll hear that from time to time when we're taking videos at my house. I put my Christmas mugs and glasses away with my Christmas decor because I didn't want them taking up prime real estate in my kitchen. So if you don't have the space to allow to store them in your kitchen, for sure, then pull them out and get them with your Christmas things. Pack them all together so that you can make the switch when you take your Christmas things out, put your everyday ones back in that box over Christmas, and then swap them out at the end of the season. But if there's any chance that you have space to store them in your kitchen in the upper areas, I would strongly advise that because it's really working smarter, not harder. All right, so that is that cupboard area. The only thing I'll say about the stove is the oven drawer. Again, you won't be able to see this in your video shot. This house, I've got a fairly shallow oven drawer compared to what I had in New Hamburg. But the one thing I would say about oven drawers is be really selective about what you put in them. If they get overloaded, then they're going to come off the track. They're not going to be working properly. If anything, my idea and what we have down here is we have like the spatter screen for over a frying pan. We've got a couple of pizza pans and another little baking dish that we use pretty regularly in our toaster oven. So things like that, but stay away from heavy cookware and Pyrex baking pans and that kind of stuff. In the ideal world, you don't want to have to store that kind of stuff in your oven drawer. I know sometimes where there's a will, there's a way, or if you really need to, of course, I mean, obviously it's your kitchen, you make those decisions, but that would be my advice, just lightweight items down in the drawer of the stove. Okay, so then above the stove here, so I have this a little bit differently than when we first moved in. So when we arrived, above the stove was a built-in microwave and then a shallower bank of cupboards above. Now, this is our personal preference, but we don't really use a microwave. So I did not want the idea of taking up this prime real estate with a microwave. We don't have a microwave, so for me, I would much rather have the full bank of cupboards. So what I did, again, bonus was the fact that it was the IKEA kitchen. We took the microwave out, we just got a regular range hood, and we bought the deeper set of cupboards for up above here. We also got some extra shelves. And it's amazing now how I can max this out. So I've got the hood level, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves above. And I've got room here to fully store my good dishes are on this shelf, which I use pretty regularly because they're plain white, no gold or silver rim on them that keeps them from going in the dishwasher. So I want those handy, use them a lot. And then little serving pieces up top. Probably can't see that because of your angle there. And then this shelf, which is prime real estate, then I've got some of my glass storage items or baking items. Those sorts of things fit in there. A couple of serving bowls that I use more often. Second shelf, the plates I can easily access just here from the floor. But again, for the higher shelves, I do need to use my 2-step ladder, but it's handy in my front hall closet. So that is the next. So, oh, I will just quickly mention, again, you can't see it all here, but in this zone as well is the bank of drawers. So in the top drawer, I've got my cutlery tray. At the front, I've got a couple of little organizing containers that'll sit in the front to divide categories. I've got my spatulas and that sort of thing. I've got scissors along the edge. I go for those on a regular basis. This is what I opted to do with my bank of drawers because I know how I cook and what I have. But think about how it works for you. I know not all kitchens have 4 drawers here, or some of them have, just a bit bigger one in the bottom, and the proportion of the drawers were a little bit different. I've got 3 shallow drawers and then 1 deeper one. So the next drawer down, I also put a cutlery tray in here, but I just did it a little differently. It's not the traditional. I used all the interlocking bins. So I chose not to have a knife block on the counter of my cupboard. Again, I just less clutter there for me. So my knives I've got into here. Then I have one, because I do a lot of cooking. So I've got one that has all my measuring spoons into it. Then I've got one that has my serving spoons in it. And then I've got one for cutlery that could be in this drawer, but it's stuff that I don't use as often. It's my dessert forks and that sort of thing. So I've got it down here. And then along the front, I've got my sets of measuring cups. Now, I do say sets. Not everybody necessarily needs more than one set. You know yourself, if you don't do a lot of cooking and baking, maybe you just need one set. I know that for me, see, I'm just doing a little tidying while we're going along here. I know for me that often when Marie and I are cooking together in the kitchen, we need more than one set of measuring cups. So I've actually got 3 sets. But again, they have a home. They all just nestle together along the front of this drawer. My next drawer down is just kind of a free-for-all. It's where I put my gadgets in. From time to time, I make sure that they're all gadgets that I'm using. You know, my whisk is in here, but I also have things like my juicer and my egg slicer, that sort of thing in here. I have one organizing bin at the side that has a few of the smaller things that I don't want to get lost in here. So my garlic press and the beaters for my mixer, that sort of thing are in here. Again, maybe lots of you do opt to have a container of utensils on your counter because that's handy and easy for you, and absolutely go for it. But again, as I said, I'm trying to keep a minimal amount of stuff, but lots of years through my married life, I have had that sort of stuff on the counter. So you think about what works for you, and I was ready to give up a drawer for that because I wanted to keep things simplified on my counter. And the bottom drawer, which I'm sure you can't see, it's kind of a combo drawer. It's a bit deeper, but I had to kind of work with what the space was that I had here. So in the bottom, I've got my wraps. So I've got, I keep like foil, parchment, and saran. So 1 package of each in the bottom of the drawer. So I can easily access those. Then on the side, I've got my tea towels and dishcloths. And then over the top of that, I can leave my oven mitts in there. So that's sort of how this section flows in my kitchen. And I hope that it's maybe given you some ideas for things you might want to tweak in your own kitchen, or some skills that you've maybe picked up here that are transferable into your own space. But remember the reminder that everything needs a home, and store things that you use together. So again, the beverage zone, we don't want to be zigzagging. We don't want the mugs here, the tea over here, and the kettle over here. Let's have everything together in the zone. Okay, thanks for listening in today. Bye.